Hello boxing world, Scott Knipe here. Welcome to another Real Combat Media interview. Jesse James Leja was an excellent fighter in his heyday. As an amateur he won the San Antonio Golden Gloves, and he also fought in the 1988 Olympic trials. As a professional, Leja was a world champion, and he has competed against the likes of Arturo Gatti, Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, Costa Tszyu, and many other great fighters. Real Combat Media's Chris Ercola spoke with Jesse James. Jesse talked about his upbringing in San Antonio and the entirety of his boxing career, both professional and amateur. Real Combat Media would like to thank Jesse James for giving us his valuable time. Enjoy the interview.
Where were you born?
San Antonio, Texas, 1966.
Tell me about your home life growing up. What was it like then?
My home life was great. I had a father who was a professional boxer when he was in the early 60s. He was actually the first San Antonian to ever make it to the final National Golden Gloves. First San Antonian to make it that far. But my home life was great. We knew about boxing because my dad was a boxer, but he wouldn't let us do that sport. He wouldn't let us train. He would teach us a little bit at home, but didn't want us inside the gyms at all. My mom was a hard worker. My dad was a hard worker, and I had a great home life, great childhood. Middle class. I had an older brother, older sister. One of these things where we stay. In fact, the Wonder Years. Remember the Wonder Years? The kid that him and his brother. We lived that type of life where it was not that same type, but we can go outside, stay outside all night in the summertime, and the only time we came inside the house in the summertime was to eat. We were outside all day long playing sports.
And what kind of kid were you? Just into sports and stuff? No trouble?
Yeah, I played, not so much. Played football, baseball, basketball, everything on the streets, anything you could think of. Rode bikes, rode go-karts, rode all that type of stuff. And, just pretty athletic as a kid. I started playing football when I was 10 years old for his football team. I was a middle linebacker, and I was a left guard as well.
So you weren't a fighter?
No, not at all. I didn't start fighting until I was 19 years old.
Oh, wow, man. Oh.
Yeah,
Not fighting in the street or anything?
I had some fights in school, but quite a bit of fights in school, but not. I was a no ganger. I didn't pick on anyone. I just defending myself or defending a friend or something.
Yeah. All right. So, how old were you the first time you walked into a gym?
19 years old.
That's the first time you walked into a gym, 19 too?
Well, I was walking to the gym with my dad. I was a kid, but we didn't do anything. We just watched. But when I first started training to become a fighter, I was 19 years old. Actually, I walked in one time when I was 16. I fought one time when I was 16, and I didn't do well, and I didn't do it again until I was 19. When I really got serious about it and started training.
So how were you when you started out at 19? Were you good right away?
No, but not right away. I trained pretty hard. I went open my first fight. I never fought novice or sub-novice. We didn't have a sub-novice back then. We just had a novice. But I went open right off the bat, my first two fights, and I lost my first two fights in the amateurs.
Wow.
Yeah, I lost my first two fights. Yeah, I lost my first two fights. And in fact, here's a better story. Before I fought the Golden Gloves, when I was 19 years old, I had been training for 6 months for the Golden Gloves, getting my weight down, doing everything. And 2 weeks before I fought the Golden Gloves, I had my nose broken, like in two places. It was terrible. Wow. I mean, it looked so bad. My bridge of my eye was right under the bridge of my nose was under my eye. It just looked terrible. My mom's been a nurse forever. She's been a nurse she just retired, 53 years of being a nurse. But she took me to the hospital. She goes, "That's why I didn't want you guys fighting, because of this, and your daddy's been through it all. You're not going to go through it. You're never going to fight again." And that was something. I'm laying in the hospital table, and the doctor's looking at my nose. And she's telling me, you're never going to fight again, that's it. And she told the doctor, when you fix his nose, make it nice and pretty because you'll never get hit again. And right there and then, I knew that I was going to be a fighter because I said, no, Mom, I'm going to keep fighting because I loved it. There was something about it. That was a time, you know, you never talk back to your mom, or you don't talk, especially in front of people. But I said, no, I'm going to keep fighting. That's all I said. She looked at me and she got so angry. But that was a time when, you know, when something reaches you and says, no, this is for you. I didn't know boxing was for me, but at that point, when I'm laying on that table with the broken nose, I didn't have my first amateur fight yet, and I told my mom, no, I'm going to fight again. I'm going to do it. She got upset, but that was a turning point in my life when I said, no, that's when I really knew I wanted to do this.
And how long did it take you before you got her blessings?
I don't know. My nose was broken for, I couldn't do anything for about 6 weeks. And I went back to the gym after that. In fact, maybe I kept training during that time, but, I couldn't get hit in the nose. And she, I guess she supported me back then. I guess she realized that I was going to be stubborn anyhow, but she might as well back me up.
Yeah. So you didn't have a long amateur career. You didn't have time. You only went like 23-5. That's all you had.
It might have been. Yeah, I probably had about 35. I'm not even sure, but something like that. Like I said, I went open my first 2 fights. Well, I went open right off the bat. And I maybe had 30-something fights as an amateur. And then I made it to the 1988 Olympic trials. And I lost to Kelsey Banks, who went to the Olympics.
And how'd that feel, losing up to the Olympic trials? You skipped ahead.
You know what? The funny part was that I was getting ready to get married. I was 22 years old. I was going to get married my middle school sweetheart, and we had our wedding set. The whole bit was set, and what happened was I went to the Western Olympic trials in Houston, and my girlfriend back then, of course, she was home, and if I won, I was going to the Olympic trials, and it was the same time that our marriage was scheduled. And I won, and I had to call her and tell her that I'm going to the Olympic trials, but that was the same time we were supposed to get married. So she was happy at one point and sat on the other side because she had to tell her parents that the wedding was canceled. So you have to realize, not only am I canceling, I'm not even working. I'm an amateur boxer, and I'm canceling the wedding that they've already put money down, and I'm trying to prepare for it, and I'm over here canceling it because I have to go fight somewhere. That was pretty tough, but she supported me, and she knew that was something I was trying to do. And of course, if I made it to the Olympics, it was going to be much better for us. So I went to the Olympic trials, and I lost to Kelsey Banks, and we postponed the wedding. We got married a month later.
Yeah, how did you feel when you did lose the Olympic trials? Did it really hurt you?
Well, no, not really. I knew it was a long shot because I was, come on, I'm a guy who didn't have a name. I just been fighting, had 20-something fights or 30 fights, and I was fighting this Kelsey Banks, so I knew he was going to have the edge on me. So, but I went out there and I thought I fought a great fight. Just, I'm fighting a name as well. Amateurs really got to just stop them or do whatever with the guy that has 300-something amateur fights. But after that, I didn't know if I was going to turn pro or not. I just said, well, I can't fight amateur anymore. I might as well turn pro now. So that was the next step I did, was turn pro.
How old were you when you turned pro?
22. Same age I got married, yeah.
Do you remember who you fought and what the result was and anything like that?
The first fight as a pro was Oscar Davis, and I knocked him out in the first round.
Good.
And and not only that, he was a tall guy. He was like 6 foot tall, 125 pounder, huge. He was almost like a Kelsey Banks.
Wow.
And that was my first fight.
What kind of managers do you have? Why would he put you in with someone that big?
I don't know, man. Maybe he didn't know he was. I think he was telling me he's supposed to be 6 foot. 5'6" or something, 5'8". Turned out to be 6 foot tall. But back then, when you're first fighting your first fight, it's hard to get any tape or anything on the guy that's turning pro himself. So that's probably what happened. But it worked out for me.
So how'd you win when you won your first fight? How'd that make you feel?
I felt great. To get that first win out of the way, and to figure out how it feels to get hit with those small gloves. That's what's on everyone's mind is, am I going to be able to get hit without a headgear, or how small those gloves going to feel when you get hit. All that goes through your mind. But, I made short work of the first fight, so I felt good and confident about everything.
And who was training you at the time?
You're always good at your last fight.
Yeah, it's true. Who trained you for that first fight?
My dad's been my trainer since day one.
So he had brought in no extra help?
Well, not for that. Well, I'm sure we had guys helping us, from the gym and stuff, local trainers. But I still remember. Matter of fact, it was my dad. My cut man was Joe Souza, who passed away a few months ago. And then one of my dad's best friends from when they were young was helping us in the corner.
Yeah. Who do you think Joe Souza made more money off of, you or Arturo Gatti?
He was with me for, well, I don't know, because
I hope so.
Probably with me because he was with me for 58 fights.
Yeah,
he wasn't with Gatti for that many fights, and I had some great paydays as well.
Yeah.
So probably me.
Did you? Were you ever trained by Ronnie Shields?
Yeah. Ronnie Shields trained me probably in 91, 92, and then the last 3 years of my career.
Okay, so he didn't have anything to do with your early career, then, right?
No, a little bit. I was with Main Events, my early, the 90, 89, 91, I was with Main Events. So, they promoted me.
One sec, just on my computer. Shut the screen off. Okay. Then your first bigger test came against Edward Parker, and after 10 rounds it was a draw. What do you remember about that fight?
I thought I really did well on that fight. That was my first main event here in San Antonio. I think what we did, I fought 2 times when I first turned pro. Then I didn't fight again until my 15th fight. But I see video of that fight, and there's no way I lost the fight. But I think there's sometimes judges have a thing where they say, I'm going to bend the other way just so people don't think I'm being, favoring the hometown guy, and they kind of turn against me. But, it was a learning experience. I didn't lose anything. I just learned a lot and just realized that you got to fight a little harder to try not to leave it in the judge's hands.
So did you feel like robbed?
But he was a great fighter, though. Pee Wee Parker was a great fighter, real sneaky, real, he was a veteran. I think he was a world champion at one point before that. Or fought for the world title a few times before that. And so he was a sneaky fighter, but I thought I did a good job with him.
Did it really bother you when you got robbed by judges?
I don't think it was. No, it doesn't bother me. I think I'm one of these guys that just say, well, you got to learn, and I learned something from it. So if I learn something from every fight, I don't lose anything. So I always feel that in life too. If you learn something, you can't lose. You just could go forward from there.
A couple of fights later, you fought Mark Fernandez. How'd that feel?
Oh man, he was a tough guy. Matter of fact, I think just recalling now, he was a fighter that I was fighting, and both my eyes were cut, and Joe Souza had put Vaseline inside my eye instead of on my eye, inside my eye, and I was for a round and a half. I couldn't see anything but Vaseline, and it was a point where I was just about to. I think it's Mark Hernandez. Where I was just going to take a knee and just say I can't see because I was getting hit with everything. I threw a crazy left hook and caught him and knocked him out. Because that's the fight. That made me fight. And it was just one of those things where I said, man, I can't see anything. I'm going to just throw as hard as I could. And it hit him, and I won the fight.
Home run.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the Miguel Arroza fight?
Miguel Arroza, he was a Filipino guy that lived in California, I believe. And I was just handling him really easy in that fight, doing well and hitting with everything I want. And he was getting to a point where he was going to get knocked out or get stopped. And he started just hitting me low just to get himself disqualified. He hit me several times low, and they finally had to disqualify him.
How's that feel getting hit low like that? What was it?
You feel it, but I had a good cup on, so but you feel it, But I'm one of these guys. If you hit me, I'm gonna just hit you a lot harder than the same. I'll retaliate. I don't think I retaliate too much in that fight, but I'll just hit him harder to the head and try and knock him out. But he kept hitting me low, and I knew he was fighting. I knew what he was doing, so I was trying to oblige him and knock him out.
And then soon after that, you fought Stephen McCrory, kind of dangerous guy.
Yeah, that was in Houston, man. He was a great. I think Steve went to the Olympics, right? Didn't he fight in the Olympics? Or I think he fought in the Olympics, or he was an Olympian.
I'm not even sure. I'm not sure, man.
Yeah, he was a really, really sneaky fight. He was Milton McCoy's brother, right? Older brother, younger brother.
Yeah.
And a lot of experience. I had my hands full that night with him. But I don't know if I dropped him a couple of times or just I think I beat him unanimous in Houston. But that was a great learning experience for me, being able to fight someone with that much experience and that much talent. And, that's one of those fights where you think, I belong where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm. So you
one of those confidence builders, like, man, I can do this.
Yeah, so you felt ready for the upper echelon guys after that one?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure who I fought afterwards, but, that was probably the biggest name and maybe the best experienced fighter that I fought. I don't think, did I fight Luis Espinosa after him, didn't I?
I didn't even write the name down, but your next fight was for the NABF championship.
Luis Espinosa?
I'm not even sure. I could go back and check if you want.
If it was that Luis Espinosa, he was a two-time world champion at one point. He had 47 or 57 fights when I fought him.
Check it out. Do you remember winning the title? Do you remember that night?
Oh, yeah.
I remember it. When you won your first pro title.
Oh, no, that was Jose Martinez. That was Jose Martinez. Who had just knocked out Luis Espinosa.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Martinez had just knocked out Luis Espinosa, and I was fighting him. And that was for the NABF title, and I knew he was a tough fight. I had dropped him in the second or third round with the overhand right, doing really well in the fight. And then I got hit with the headbutt in the fifth or sixth round, if I'm recalling right. And the cut was so bad that the ref had to stop, but I was way up on cards already.
Mm-hmm. It was a real bloody fight, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm one of these guys that have sharp eyebrows on the side, the bone, the sockets are real sharp, and if you hit me with the headbutt with a good punch, I'm going to get cut.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Gatti.
Yeah. And your next fight was against, I don't even know if it was your next fight. You fought Jesus Pojo.
Jesus Pojo.
Guy. Did you feel that? Was it Pojo?
No, it's Pojo. P-O-O-P-O-L-L.
No, that's it.
Jesus Pojo.
Yeah. Was he?
Yeah, he was a is he a former, I think he was a former world champion. Jesus Pojo was a former world champion. And he may have been, I don't know if I fought Luis Espinosa before him or after him, but he was a former world champion. He didn't really, I was really on that day, or he was really off, but he didn't give me that much trouble at all. I mean, some sneaky stuff, but I really had been sparring a lot and training with good fighters, and my manager set me up with the right fights. Yeah, he put me in tough. I mean, I was always fighting in tough, and that's the only way you learn now. You can't learn by fighting easy fights all the time, because when you do that and you finally do fight someone tough, you're going to be lost.
Mm-hmm. You're right, man.
So my manager always fought me tough, just enough to get me to learn a lot from different fighters. But I didn't have a lot of easy fights in my career.
What about Troy Dorsey?
Oh man, that was an incredible fight for me. Ronnie Judge trained me for that fight, and all we worked on was throwing uppercut, because we knew Troy Dorsey was a non-stop brawler who was going to keep coming forward. So if you look at the tape, it's on YouTube too, I think. I must have thrown 200 uppercuts in that fight in 6 rounds, and just about every one of them landed. But Troy Dorsey was a fighter who was non-stop. He was going to be in your face, and he was going to wear you out mentally and physically. And in fact, Troy and I didn't like each other before the fight. We almost got into a fight at the weigh-in, but it was because his manager was trying to have him get under my skin, and almost did a good job of it. But after the fight, we became good friends. Right now, we're great friends to this day, and we still talk and we catch up with each other and stuff. And he's a great guy. But during that fight, it was a brutal fight, man. I was throwing everything I could to try to stop him. I even told him he was wearing me out so bad because he was just nonstop in my face the whole fight. He was taking punishment but kept coming forward. And I told him probably about 2 years ago, I said, you don't know this, but I don't think I could have gone an extra 2 rounds because I was so worn out. He goes, man, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. He goes, I lost the fight, but at least that makes me feel good, man. Because I said, I don't know if I could go another 2 rounds, man, because it was nonstop pressure.
Wow. And then you fought Louis Espinoza. What do you remember about Louis? So.
Oh man, every punch he threw. I mean, I think every punch he hit me clean. I was cut. I had about 5 or 6 cuts in that fight. But that was a brutal fight for me, and beating him was great. He was an incredible fighter. I think he was a 2-time world champion former 2-time world champion when I fought him, and power with both hands, and he was tall. But I did great. Just winning the fight. I think unanimously I won the fight. But it was a close, tough fight. But great. That's one of those fights you look back and say, man, that was a tough one.
Yeah. And then the first time I ever saw you was against Azuma Nelson on that Pernell Whitaker Chavez undercard.
Yeah, my first world title fight with the great Azuma Nelson. You know what? This is Azuma Nelson trying to get in my skin, and Don King and all those guys. They come to. It's a funny story. They come to the gym where we're training, because they're training at that same gym. It's 2 weeks before the fight, right? Getting acclimated to San Antonio or whatever. And they asked me if I want to spar. Can you imagine that? You're fighting this guy with a world title, and 2 weeks before the fight, they ask you if you want to spar.
What did you say? No?
I said, no, it's okay. We'll save it for the fight. But I knew what they were trying to do. They were playing mind games with me. But they asked me if I wanted to spar, and that was funny.
What was it like walking down the aisle to face a legend like that?
It was so long ago. The only thing I remember is walking out into the Alamo Dome with 60,000 people yelling. You know how people say, man, the noise is so loud and they're yelling that it almost pushes your body back where it goes through you. Yeah. You could just feel all that energy go right through you. It was crazy. And it's hard to explain, but that's as close as I can get, is all that energy and just going right through your body and almost pushing you back. It was that loud, and in the fight, of course, I thought I did a great job in my first fight, my first world title fight. I thought I bagged enough rounds, won enough rounds, but the last 3 rounds you really picked it up. What you're supposed to do is, and he put pressure on me in the last 3 rounds. But I thought I had won enough of the rounds to win the fight, but nevertheless, it was a draw.
And what was I going to say now? God, man, you're a good interviewer. You make me forget what I was thinking. What the heck, man? Were you overwhelmed? Were you overwhelmed by all those people?
No, because not at all. I mean, one thing the manager did do is the night before the fight, after the weigh-ins, we went to the Alamo Dome. There was no one there. We walked the ring, got inside, walked around, went to the dressing room. That way I would know what's going to feel like when I go in the next day, without the people, of course, but I knew exactly how big the ring was and how I was going to look inside the Alamo Dome with 60,000 people. Get kind of break the ice and almost like a basketball player going and taking shots before the game.
That's kind of crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what we did. No, I mean, I'm not saying I couldn't speak the night before, of course, but I already knew what to expect. I already knew I'm going to be in the dressing room. I already knew what to feel like to get in the ring. I knew what the ring felt like. But I think what really helped me was I already had all these tough fights ahead before that fight. I've had Louis Espinoza, Troy Dorsey. I've had all these fights, so I've gone through that nervousness. And I mean, I was still nervous, but I knew what to expect. It wasn't new to me.
What's weird?
I almost felt like a veteran going into it, but obviously, you still had to fight Azuma Nelson. I didn't know how hard he was going to hit, but I knew I was ready for it.
That's unbelievable. Since you didn't have much of an amateur experience or anything, and fighting in front of all those people, I think I'd be scared.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to use the word scared, even though it may be that, but I'd like to use the word nervous and anxious. It's just probably the same thing.
Yeah. And how did it feel to not win the title that you trained so hard for?
Well, I think I've been said in the interview, every fighter knows in his heart if he wins or if he loses. And I felt in my heart that I had won that fight. And no one could take that away from me. I mean, the judges can take the decision away, but they can't take what you feel inside. And what I felt inside that I was a world champ because I beat Azuma Nelson. But I just had to do it again. I think we fought maybe 6 or 9 months later at the MGM. And I was able to beat him for the world title. And that was, and people, if you ever watch the tape, which is on YouTube as well, of me winning the world title, our second fight in Vegas, I'm not that excited. I just, I didn't jump up or anything because I felt I had won it the first time. And when I won it the first time, when I after the fight the first time, I jumped up, I got on the ropes, I was excited when he picked me up. This time I wasn't because I felt I already had won that title.
After that first fight,
I was kind of nonchalant, just like, okay, I won it. My guys may have picked me up, but I was just, okay, no big deal.
Did you say anything to him?
I didn't, when I won a fight, I didn't get really excited and crazy because I trained to win the fight. That was expected of me. Now, if I lost the fight, I really was down and out because I didn't expect to lose.
Yeah. When you fought Azuma the first time, did he talk to you after the decision was made? Did he admit to thinking he might have lost? Or?
No, he didn't say anything like that. He was complaining about his elbow hurt. I think that was he always had something was always wrong. I think I don't know what happened in the first fight, but we didn't talk much. He just said good fight. He congratulated me on the good fight and the whole bit. And after the second fight, he had said that his elbow was hurt and then he couldn't throw punches, but he was throwing with both hands. So.
And what's it like being in the ring? Like, what made him so great?
I think it was what made him so great was his will not to let anyone beat him. That no matter what, no one was going to beat him. Besides the talent that he had and the experience he had and the power he had in both hands, but I think what made him so great was the will that no one was going to beat him. I mean, you had to kill him to beat him.
And I know you looked nonchalant when you won the title, but were you hiding any really, really exciting emotions?
I don't know. Maybe I was just so exhausted I didn't have anything left. That could have been it. But I really thought I won the first time, and so it was like I told you. I've always expected to win fights, so it wasn't a surprise to me. But it was a surprise to me if I lost a fight because I trained to win, and that hurt me more than being happy to win a fight because I expected to win.
And then you fought Gabriel Ellis, another warrior. What was it like fighting Gabe?
Gabe was tough. I mean, he was a kind of an awkward fighter. He threw punches from different angles. He wasn't as experienced as Azuma Nelson, but there was something about Gabe that just made him, really, really dangerous. But yeah, it's kind of funny how I beat Azuma twice. Azuma beats Gabe twice, and Gabe beats me once. We had that little thing where Gabe couldn't beat Azuma, and Azuma couldn't beat me, or it's kind of weird thing, or I couldn't beat Gabe. But I think when I fought Gabe, I should have gave up. You know who Mackie Shoston is? That weight guru from New Orleans.
Yep.
Before I fought Gabe, we went to Mackie because I was having trouble making weight, and he just told me you can't be fighting at 130 anymore. I can get your weight down, but I have to take muscle off you. And I should have. But that's when you make your money. Is when you defend your title. But I shouldn't have been fighting at 130 anymore. But I had to make it, and I had to make money.
And do you still stay in touch with Gabriel Ellis?
Yeah, actually, I saw him in London when we went to the WBC convention. So we talked and hung out a little bit in London. Great guy. See him on Facebook. We go back and forth on Facebook every once in a while. I know he had some troubles. But I think I think he's recovering. I think he's doing well now. At least I hope he is.
He's actually not doing so good. Sucks.
Yeah.
Well, unless
is it financially or more
mental problems?
Really?
I feel bad.
Is that from drinking?
No, it might be, but it wasn't. He only drank, he said, like for 4 years or something. So I don't know. It's sad.
I see him on Facebook a lot, and he's always, going to church today, or it's always something about scriptures, or he's always doing that. But I'm not sure how
he's having
I don't know how
I'm sorry. He's
like mentally, like depression or something, or
no, it's he's forgetful. Like he'll be driving somewhere, and then he'll have to pull over and call his wife to ask where he's got to go. He forgot.
Oh man.
Or turning the sink on and like leaving it on and stuff. Stuff like that. And he can't remember anything that's current. He could remember everything from childhood.
Yeah.
That's sad, man.
Like an early sign of Alzheimer's, huh?
Yeah. That's what it is. That sucks.
That's what's so brutal about this game. You just don't know what you're gonna get. Like people tell me you're doing pretty good, and yeah, I said, but I don't know what's gonna happen in 5 years. I've been retired now, 6 years or 7 years. They said, man, you're doing pretty good, and you're doing well, you talk well, you speak well, and I said, yeah, but who knows what's gonna happen tomorrow?
Do you still spar too?
I'm sorry?
Do you still spar?
Yeah, I still do that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you're not nervous, You're nervous, but you still do it? Are you nervous?
Yeah. No, not so much. I don't know. I think whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and if it hasn't happened yet, it may never happen, or it could. I just try to keep myself healthy. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I work out a lot. I eat right. Try to eat right. So I still try to keep healthy.
Yeah. Then you fought Jeff Mayweather. What's it like fighting Jeff?
I fought him in Vegas, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, he was quick, pretty good, but I can't remember too much about that fight. But I mean, I knew he was a quick fighter. He was sneaky. Obviously he has a lot of skill, but nothing really. I'm telling you, my managers did a great job setting me up with all these other fighters that I fought. And that's one thing I try to teach my fighters or people is that you gotta earn your way up. You can't just be given easy fights because you don't learn anything from them. It's like being in school and always having easy tests. You don't learn anything.
Yeah.
I already had fought the tough guys and tough fighters, so I was ready for anything to come at me.
And then you got the, I guess, offer of a lifetime. How'd you get the offer to fight De La Hoya? How'd that come up?
Nobody wanted to fight him. I think they had offered 2-3 guys to fight him, and they all said no, and they offered me to fight, and I said, heck yeah, I'll fight him. I mean, I didn't care who was in the fight. I didn't care about the money, but I just was going after the opportunity. He was a great fighter already. So, I took the chance. Like, you could never win world titles if you don't take the opportunities or the chances to fight for them.
That's right.
That was another opportunity for me, and we all know in boxing it just takes one punch. But Oscar at 135, it just way too big, too strong, too fast. He was just an incredible fighter.
Yeah. What were you thinking as you were in the fight with him?
I was pretty cool. I thought I was doing, it was a short fight, so if you're gonna lose a fight, lose it quick, right? You don't get beat up. But I had trained really hard. I was sparring with 147 pounders that can fight, like that were almost ranked fighters, or in the top 10 or top 15 at least. And I was doing well with these guys, 147 pounders. So I really felt confident going in with Oscar, but he was just a different animal inside the ring. Just a different guy, taller, quicker, stronger, everything. I had some good punches in that fight, but.
Was it 6 rounds? I think it was 6, right?
It ended up in a was it second or third?
Was it second?
It
might have been second.
So. Yeah.
I was thinking 6 for some reason, but.
No.
You brought up a memory. It was 2.
Yeah.
That's all right, man. But what was it like when you found out you were fighting at the Garden? Like, what did that mean to you? Did fighting at the Garden mean anything?
You know, one of those things that, one thing I tell people is when I was in the Garden and I was in the ring, the first thing that came up to me was, like, not in a bragging way, but I was proud of myself. Because here's a kid who only fought 2 years as an amateur, almost made the Olympics. And this is all coming to me when I'm inside the ring. And I was thinking if only people from San Antonio that knew what I've gone through can see me now. Like, look where I'm at. Like, it's almost like you've made it if you're at the Garden fighting in the main event. You know, and I was kind of thinking, like, man, I think I've made it. One of those things, like, I think I've made it, or, you know. And it was great. It was a great feeling. Of course, I didn't only think about that, but that's one of those things that maybe as I'm walking to the ring, I think about that.
Yeah. Were you ever?
It was fun. It was a fun thing. It was like seeing all those stars sitting around watching you fight, and it's one of those things like, man, I'm doing pretty good for myself to be here, you know.
Yeah. Did you feel overwhelmed by the promotion of the event?
No, not at all. I knew it was all about Oscar, and that's okay. But, you know, I was trying to, you know, I've been through that with Don King and Azuma Nelson. I've been through that with all those guys. So I was never the favorite, but I was always going to work hard. I kind of expected that. Yeah, because I knew, you know, when you see the poster, it has Oscar in huge letters, and it has my name, you know, just 1-inch letters. So I knew what the fight was for. But, I was winning to trying to prove people wrong.
Yeah. And after you fought De La Hoya, you fought Azuma Nelson again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
that third fight.
Trying to make that 130.
Yeah.
You know, I went from 135 trying to make 130. Remember, I told you that doctor told me I couldn't make 130 anymore. You know, he gave me the way, he gave me the plan how to get there, but I wasn't gonna have anything left, and I think that's what happened with Azuma. I wasn't strong enough. I had to take too much muscle to make that weight.
Now, why'd they put you in so tough after coming off a loss like that?
I think, I'm not sure. Did I fight someone after Oscar?
I don't know.
Or was it just...
I think you went right to Azuma. I think you did.
Yeah.
I checked the record.
I think it was just the opportunity. It's another opportunity. You don't, when you're in this game and someone offers you a world title fight, you don't say no. You can't say no. Why would you say no? That's the most money you may ever make. You can't say no. It's like someone say, you want to take a chance of winning the lottery, you can take that chance. And winning a world title is almost like winning the lottery. You got to take those opportunities when they face you, because if you say no, you may never get that opportunity again. So you can't say no to those world title fights.
Yeah. How'd you feel after losing 2 in a row? Did you feel down on it?
No, not at all. Matter of fact, I think I fought Azuma Nelson, if I'm not wrong. I fought him for maybe $300,000 for that fight for the world title again in Vegas. And after I lost that fight, I was going up to 135. I went back up to 135, and I may have made $300,000 for that fight. You know what my next fight was for?
What?
$4,000.
Oh my God.
My manager said, "There's no money for this fight. They're not offering anything." And I said, "I don't care. I don't even want to see the paycheck. I don't care what I was going to get. I just want to fight, because there was that thing in me again, which I'm going to make it to the top again. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. So I don't care." So that's what happened. You know, I fought $300,000 one fight. The next fight was $4,000.
Were those the Joel Perez fights?
I don't think it was.
No. You had 2 fights with Joel Perez. How was he?
A good fighter. The first fight was kind of a knockdown drag-out. It was a dirty fight. He hit me low one time, and I retaliated right away, and he went down, and they took a point off me. But it's always the second guy they catch. But, you know, in the video it shows clearly I had him hurt, and maybe getting ready to drop him, and he hit me low to try to buy some time, and I hit him right back, and he went down. They took a point off me. The fight was kind of dirty. I got cut. So after the fight, they complained about something. They complained that the doctor put too much pressure on my eye to try to keep the blood from getting worse or whatever. And so they complained about it. The NABF said we had to fight him again, so I fought him again and beat him easier.
Then you fought Zuma for a fourth time? And I always thought that was cool. Say it again? I'm sorry.
That was our fourth fight at the Animal Dome in 1998.
Yeah, I always thought that was so cool how you guys fought like 4 times, you know?
No one fights 4 times. And the thing about the fourth fight was we were split 1-1-1. 1 draw, 1 win for me, 1 win for him. So the fourth was the tiebreaker.
That's right. But really, we were 3-1. You know that.
Yeah, of course. But so I beat him unanimously then, and still, you know, he was a dangerous fighter. He was coming in to say, you got to realize I just had been stopped by him before that. The third fight, he stopped me. So, you know, I had all those things in my head, like, man, this guy hasn't lost anything. He's still dangerous, and he was. He gave me a good fight. But, you know, I beat him unanimously with speed, and you know, I know how he fights already, so I was able to work on that purpose. But he knew how I fought too. So, you know, you always have to change the little things that make a difference. So we changed a little bit more boxing, more head movement, taking a jab at him a lot more, and you know, taking it to him.
And how important was it to get that win at the time? Were you really wanting that win extra bad?
Yeah, you know, it was for like people say it was for the IBA title, and people don't look at that title anymore. You know, they don't. But it's not what belt you fight; it's who you fight. And I fought the greatest Zuma Nelson. I beat him twice for 2 world titles. So that's how I see it. It's not what you're fighting for; it's who you're fighting that makes a difference. You know, I could have fought Joe Smith for world titles with my world champion. Come on, who did I fight? But if you fight someone like a Zuma Nelson and you beat him, okay, you're a world champion.
And is there like a special bond between you guys now? If you guys?
Oh yeah, we were in Vegas for the 50th, I think, convention, WBC convention. We hung out all the time. We were taking photos. Taking photos of my mom, my dad, my son. I have them on Facebook. You can see it all together. And I took pictures with them all the time. We're good friends. I mean, we had that respect for each other. We hug each other when we said we talked. We sat down, talked, and have a drink together or whatever. We just, you know, his sons will come up to me and say hi. And my sons, my parents were with his Zoom taking pictures. You know, we have that. We have that thing where so much respect for each other, and you know, we don't see each other all the time. Obviously, he's in Africa, but when we do see each other, it's that respect and it's that admiration you have for a fellow fighter.
Yeah. You never went to Africa to see his house, did you? I wonder how he lives out there.
No. And in fact, one time the WBC called me to tell me if I can go to Africa because he's having this big fight, but it was like a week's notice. I had to get all these shots that I couldn't get out in time. They said you don't have to take shots. Just go up there and come back. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I didn't have time to set up my shots, so I didn't go up there. But I would love to go. You know, every time he sees me, he goes, yeah, come to Africa, come and visit me.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Then you fought Shane Mosley. Some people think Shane ranks high up there with the greatest lightweights ever. What did you think when you fought Shane?
You know, after I fought him, he really was. Okay, here's the thing. I was going to fight, I think I was going to fight Gabe Ruelas again, and that got postponed because I think I got hurt, my rib got hurt or something. But about 2 weeks later, they offered me the fight with Shane Mosley for the world title. See, when I was going to fight Gabe, it wasn't a world title, it was just a fight. And then they offered me, and that's when Gabe fought John Brown, I think, and John Brown beats Gabe. But that was a fight I should have fought to fight Gabe a second time, but I was hurt or something. I said, I'm not going to fight Gabe unless I'm 100%. But I wasn't, so I pulled out of the fight, and he fought John Brown. John Brown beats him. And then I think 3 or 4 weeks later, I get the call to fight Shane Mosley. I hadn't been in the gym. Remember, I was hurt, so my fight got caught off with Gabe. They gave me 3 weeks' notice to get ready for Shane Mosley to fight for the title. The money was good. The opportunity was there. Remember what I said, opportunities, you got to take them while they're there. If not, they may never come back. So I had 3 weeks. I dropped 17 pounds in 3 weeks. I was dying, man. I was dying. I barely made that weight. I don't think I didn't make it for the first time. I had to come back twice to make weight, or something happened. And I finally made weight. And what upset me most than anything else, when I tried the second time, I got on the scale. Remember, I dropped 17 pounds in 3 weeks. I was just about dead anyhow. I get on the scale. I'm like a quarter pound over. I get off. I walk to my dressing room. To my room. I didn't do anything. I just laid down. I was going. I had cold chills. My wife had to get some warm. Well, I forgot. No, maybe she had to. I was sweating so much. I don't know what happened, but I was just out of it. I don't even remember. I was out of it. But my wife starts putting ice packs or cold packs on my face and my body, because I didn't have anything left. I didn't do anything. I went straight to the weigh-in that I missed by a quarter pound or a half pound. I went straight to my room. I just lay down in bed. My wife starts putting these packs all over my body. 30 minutes later, I get up and walk back to the weigh-in. I knew I was going to make weight because I didn't do anything. I'm a half-pound light. There were so many people on that scale or around on the stage or that little platform they had. They had probably threw the scale off. Something happened because I didn't do anything. I lost a half pound, and I made weight. But I was upset because I had been eating, an hour earlier. But anyhow, when I fought Shane Mosley, I thought I was doing great for the 3 weeks, to get ready for him. He was beating me, but I was in the fight. I was hitting him. I was making amends. I was getting him all kinds of trouble. But my body, he started hitting me to the body, and nothing really hurt me. I even told Shane, he never really hurt me with anything, but just fatigue got to me. My body was beat up from making weight, had nothing left. He gave me good body shots, but nothing that really hurt you and said, oh my God, this guy can hit. But maybe he had the same problems making weight himself. But that's why when he was going to fight Oscar de la Hoya, I told you, man, Oscar hits twice as hard as Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley may have been faster, but maybe I was just better. Maybe I was just never got hit clean. But Oscar to me was hitting a lot harder than Shane Mosley. I always thought Shane couldn't hurt Oscar.
But then he was caught.
Just from experience, I fought both of them. Just from experience, Shane never hurt me. I went 9 rounds with Shane. I only had 3 weeks notice. I had like 10 weeks with Oscar, and he stops me in 2 rounds.
Yeah.
That's why I compare them to. I compare those two.
So did you make a personal bet when they fought and lose?
No, but I was telling everybody, I think Oscar's gonna beat him. He should beat him easy, but styles make fights.
Yeah. So did Shane's speed impress you though?
Yeah, he was quick. That was impressive. He was quick, but I was able to make him miss and make him move and I was able to hit him. I was able to do all that. And I couldn't do any of that with Oscar.
Yeah.
But styles do make fights. Yeah.
And then you came back and put a few wins together, and then you fought Juan Lascano. What was the fight? What was that?
Yeah,
fight?
I remember that fight. I remember that fight. Really good. I never had good luck in the Northeast. There's something about the Northeast, and I didn't like going up there and fighting. I think I had 7 losses in my career. I think 5 were up there. I think 5 were up there or something like that.
I'm sorry.
Didn't have them. Huh?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's something about it. I don't know what it was. But Lascano, Showtime had an online poll at that time. People had me winning 10 rounds to 0, 10-0. And then he beats me on a split decision. Everyone knew I beat him. It was not even close. I beat him, but it was I think he was with what's his name, Gary Shaw at that point. They were just trying to protect him, and I beat him. That was that. Matter of fact, I have 7 losses in my career, and that one I do not count as a loss because I didn't lose that one. The other 6 I lost. Juan Lascano, I did not lose that fight, and it hurts me because that's on my record. Which shouldn't be on my record. It should be a win for me, but it's on my record. And then that's the thing that bothers me a lot about my record. Is when I look at that record and I see that 7th loss when I know I shouldn't be there. Come on, if I'm going to earn the fight and win, I'm going to earn it. If I'm going to earn a loss, okay, I'm going to earn it. I didn't earn that loss, and that irritates me to know that it's there. But what can you do?
Yeah, I remember watching that fight, and I was pissed off because you're one of my favorites, and you know when you want your favorite fighters to win and they don't, and they get robbed,
Yeah.
piss you off.
Yeah, well, but what, you know, and you can't do anything about that. You know, I always tell people, I won the fight, just didn't win the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens a lot. It happens a lot in boxing, but it happens in every sport. Sometimes, you know, but I knew I won the fight, and you know, sometimes you just gotta go home knowing that you won the fight, and he has to go home knowing that he got the decision but didn't win the fight.
Yeah. Bert Sugar once said that he didn't think you could ever clean up boxing, even no matter what you did. What do you think boxing can do to clean it up at all? Do you think there's anything?
You know what? I would think the best way to straighten out this sport or to clean it up is to have one entity, like the NBA, NFL, have one governing body. We have so many governing bodies. You have WBC, WBA, IBF, IBC, everybody, and there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. It just, you know, we need one governing body, one entity to just. We need one league, but we have several, and it's never going to work that way.
Yeah. So you don't think by making like a league type of thing that it would eventually splinter and have a bunch of leagues that don't fight each other and stuff? Or
well, I mean, I think at one point when Oscar first was going to open up his first promotion, he had told me, I'm going to try to clean up boxing. I'm going to try to get everybody under one roof. And if they're not under our roof, it's okay. They have to do their own thing. But we're going to try to clean it up by keeping everything under one roof. But that hasn't happened. That was years ago when he first started. He was telling me, we're going to do everything under one roof. Like, start ABC boxing, and everyone had, you don't have to join us, but we're going to try to have all this so legit that everyone's going to want to join us to keep it, clean it up. But that hasn't happened.
Yeah, I was talking to Lou DiBella, and he was saying how that was his, you know, original goal when he first started promoting. But you kind of get when you come around different people, it kind of ruins you. He said. You know, there's no way you can really do it. He said.
No, it just, you know, like UFC. That's just a brand. That's not a league. That's just a brand. It's just like Don King or Golden Boy. It's just a brand. But everybody follows UFC.
Yeah.
You know, there's other ones. There's Strike Force. There's every other one, but UFC is the biggest one, and everyone's running under UFC. That's, you know, what they have. They're trying to buy up everybody else, but they're almost doing it right. They may not be the best. I mean, they may not be the fairest, but everybody's following. When you say UFC, everyone thinks MMA. You know, you know, it's one entity that's trying. You know, they may be doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I don't know, but that's one thing everybody sees as one brand that's working.
Then after that, though, you fought Ivan Robinson on the undercard of the Lewis 2 undercard.
Yeah, that was a great fight for me. You know, a veteran didn't hit hard, but man, he could throw punches and throw them in bunches and move a lot. But I think I had him confused. I was just moving a lot, throwing a lot. I had a great game plan for that fight. You know, kept him on his toes. They even dropped him in the 8th or 9th round. You know, so I did well. And that's why I thought I was going to do well with Gotti as well. But you know, I was already towards the end of my career with Gotti. I should have fought him earlier.
What was it like fighting Robinson? Was he a tough guy? What surprised you about him?
He was tough. You know, drew quick. He was quick as well. But man, I was on that night because I could see everything coming. I could make him miss. I could make him pay. And I was landing my shots. I was placing them where I wanted to. I was moving when I wanted to. I was kind of doing what I wanted to in that fight. It was kind of an easy fight for me. It's, you know, just one of those things where you're on. No matter what you do, you can't miss.
Yeah. And then you fought Freddie Ladd. Anything special about Freddie?
No, I mean, I knew he had such a great record in all those knockouts. But being there and seeing him, he'd almost looked kind of like he was nervous to fight me, and you could see that. I could see that in him, in his face. Maybe not scared, but nervous about it. And you know, it was an easy fight for me. I think I stopped him, I don't know, 3rd or 4th. Yeah, but it was kind of an easy fight for me.
And then you fought Camacho Jr. What was that fight? What do you remember about that?
There's one of the things where I'm the opponent going in again, where everything's about Camacho and my letter. You know, my name was like 1-inch letters. They put me away in the furthest hotel. You know, just did everything they could to keep me uncomfortable. That fight was tough. I knew Camacho was going to be tough. I sparred about 170 rounds of sparring to get ready with a left-hander. Then I get in with Camacho, and it's still completely different. He had great speed, he had pretty decent power. Awkward as heck. There's a point in the round where I knew I turned around. He threw a straight left hand, hit me on the chin, backed me out. I took about 2 steps backwards. I was hurt. I mean, he hit me clean. I was hurt. I didn't fall down or stagger or anything, but I went backwards. And it was almost like it was slow motion where everything stopped. It's one of those things where everything stopped. I look at his eyes. He looks at my eyes. He knows I'm hurt. I'm waiting for him to attack me. He takes a backward step. And right there and then I said, I have the fight. This fight's mine. It was the 3rd round, I think, or 4th round. And I think it was 3rd round. I said, this fight's mine. I don't care what's going to happen. I'm going to beat him. Because when you hurt someone, you come after him. You're not. He hurt me, and he knew it, and he didn't. He took a backward step. Right there and then, it's like I was telling you before, when we, something in the fight happens, and it just changes everything. Well, in that round, he hits me clean. I look at his eyes. It's almost like everyone stopped, like everything froze, like time froze, and we look at each other's eyes, eye to eye, and he backed up. And I said, oh man, this guy's mine. And we know what happened after that.
And what's it feel like when you're supposed to lose a fight, but you won it?
I felt great. I felt great that I still had the old fart still had some fire and some juice. I was the gatekeeper. They call me the gatekeeper because anyone that came in that was supposed to beat me, I always beat. From Juan Lozcano to Camacho to Francisco Bojado to all these guys, I was beating them. And these guys are supposed to be the great fighters, supposed to beat me. And you have to have a lot more to beat me. You have to be Hall of Famer type guy to beat me for you to have a chance.
And what about Mickey Ward?
That was a tough fight, Mickey Ward. We knew what to expect from Mickey. We knew he was going to throw a left hook to the body and left hook to the head. So we had to protect that left body. We had to protect that body as much as we could. Tough, great fighter. We were both at the end of our careers. He can still whack. In the first round, he hits me with a small headbutt. So it was small, but as soon as it happened, I lifted my head up and I tell the ref, watch his head. And whether the ref saw it or not, I don't know. But when I lifted my head up and I said, watch his head, ref, because I knew I got hit to the eyebrow. And the ref said headbutt. Whether he saw it or not, I don't know if he saw it or not, but he started telling everybody headbutt. And after that, I think the mistake Mickey Ward made was trying to make the cut worse. What I did was trying to win every round in case it did get stopped. Because I could feel the cut getting worse. Because Mickey Ward was just hitting the hooks, trying to hit that eye. So what I was trying to do while he was trying to hit that eye, I was trying to win the rounds. Punches and bunches and move and punches and bunches and move. And Mickey Ward was concentrating on that eye. Well, while he was doing that, I'm winning rounds. And then the cut got so bad that they took 27 stitches on that one cut.
Wow.
It was from one. I'm sure you've seen the pictures on internet, right? You've seen that. There's a clear picture on the internet how bad that cut was. People are saying, well, that cut wasn't his corner was saying the cut's not that bad. Man, it was from one side from one side to the other. It was like 4 inches long or something. But I won. They stopped the fight. I won the fight because I won rounds. He's a tough guy. He was gonna keep coming in, but
So
I think the mistake they made.
How strong was his left? I'm sorry.
It was good. It was heavy-handed. He was heavy-handed. He never hurt me like where I'm dazed or anything because I was protecting it a lot. I knew it was coming, but I could tell when he hit me in the arms, I was like, oh my God, I'm glad that didn't hit the body. It's one of those things where it hits your arms and you go, oh my God, I'm glad that didn't hit me because that would put me down. And you think about that during the fight, just real quick, you're like, oof, that would have hurt, but you keep going. But I think he got sidetracked with the cut where his corner told him to go after the cut. But, you just got to keep fighting your fight. You can't just concentrate on one thing. You forget about everything else.
Mm-hmm. And then how'd the fight come up with Kashizu? How'd you find out you got that shot?
I think it may have been where the winner was going to fight Kashizu between me and Mickey Ward. And it's funny how things work out. We look at it, if Mickey Ward wouldn't have lost the fight, and I think the reason Gotti fought Mickey Ward is because he lost to me, and he thought that it was a safer fight to fight Mickey Ward. And look what happened with them guys. Those guys made history.
Yeah. So what was it like fighting Kasha? What was that like?
It was good. One of those things where my injuries and I was sparring with the guy 4 weeks before I went up to Australia. I was sparring with this heavier guy, and his name was Nurhan something. I can't think of his name. Nuhan Suleiman. Some guy from.
I think I remember that name.
Yeah, remember him?
Yeah,
Crazy guy. Looks kind of Oriental. He was like Russian something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nurhan Suleiman. And this guy was kind of like he was from Houston. He came to San Antonio to spar with me. We hired him, but only because he had fought Kashizu as an amateur, and I think he beat him or something as an amateur. But he was one of these guys, kind of a dirty fighter. He hit me in the back when we're sparring. He hit me in the back, and it separated my rib from my sternum. And so my sparring days were over. I stopped sparring 3.5 weeks before I went to Australia.
Wow.
And so when I went up to Australia, I didn't have that timing, I didn't have the conditioning, I didn't have anything. I hadn't sparred in 3 weeks. But I was still training, but I just didn't have that timing of sparring. There's a difference between training and there's a difference between sparring. Big difference. And so when I went up there, I said, I'm going to go after him as much as I can until either he stops me or I just fall over because I'm so tired. And that's what was happening. I thought I was doing well in the first few rounds, the first 4 rounds at least, with the fight with with Costa. Then I get a busted eardrum. His branded eardrum, it busted my eardrum. I had blood coming out of my ear. And my dad felt that, with my rib and my ear, I wasn't going to be able to continue, so my dad stopped it.
Mm-hmm. And was he as big a puncher as they say he was?
No, he never hurt me. He never hurt me. Maybe, like I tell you, I've been hit with some big punches already, but he never hurt me. And I'm not saying he didn't hit hard, but he never hurt me. He busted my eardrum, which is, still, it wasn't a heavy punch. Anything that happened there, it's just pressure going in. But he never hurt me in that fight. Never hurt me in that fight.
And how did the Australian people treat you when you went there? How'd you like Australia?
Incredible. They were, everybody was incredible with me. We had a great time. I loved Australia.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what's cool about sports and stuff, when you travel and stuff,
Yeah, but, I think, I don't know if everybody would get that type of feeling. I did. Wherever I went, people always enjoyed it. When I fought Camacho in New York, I had a lot of great fans come up to me after the fight. People on my side, people were yelling for me, and it was great. But, at times I think it has to do with your character as well and how you portray yourself and how you put yourself out there.
Oh, yeah.
I was, I never badmouthed anyone. I was out there to do my job. And I think people respect that and see that.
And how did you feel when you lost to Kashizu? Did it hurt you bad, or you just...
Well, I was already contemplating retirement. I didn't know if that was going to be my next step to retire. I just took it fight by fight. I knew that my body was getting beat up already. I had a separated rib that was been there since the Kashizu fight. What was that, 2000 or 2002? I forgot what year I fought Kashizu.
I think, let me think. Was it 2002? I think it was 2003, maybe. 2003.
Was it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll find out. But, so, even though my body was getting beat up, and so I knew, I had a separated rib that lasted 4 years of my career. And that was always, I had a bad elbow that was, my elbow was so messed up right now. It's like a basketball player's knees. Well, that's what my elbow is like. You know, I can't even straighten my elbow out right now. So the last 4 or 5 years of my career, I really had those injuries that I was fighting with, and I could never fight 100%. So that's why, that was one of the main reasons I retired at the end, because I just couldn't do it. I was kind of cheating myself where I couldn't be 100%. In my fight team. I was probably fighting the last 5 years of my career. I was probably fighting that since Costa Zulu, which is 2003. Maybe it was the last. It was probably since 2003 before I fought Costa Zulu, where I was never 100%. My elbows and my ribs were always messed up. So that was the main reason I retired. When I fought Arturo Gatti, I didn't spar for a month before that because of my rib and my elbow. You know, I was in Houston, messed my elbow up again, came to San Antonio, I had to get it injected, I had the whole bit. Before I fought Arturo Gatti, I had to get my elbow injected just so I could straighten it out. I just wanted those things. So it was time to retire. My body gave up already.
After you fought Costa Zulu, you fought Bajado. What do you remember about that? He had you down, right?
He dropped me in the second round. He dropped me in the second round. I was with Ronnie. You know, I had been with Ronnie for, I think, maybe for Francisco and Arturo Gatti and some other fights. We trained so hard for Bojado. I was sparring with, what's his name, the crazy fighter who does that drunken national fighter. What's his name?
Emmanuel Augustus?
Emmanuel, yeah. I was sparring with him. He gave me some great sparring. I was sparring with Golden Johnson. Golden Johnson had been my sparring partner forever. But I was ready for Bojado, man. I was just on fire. It was one of those nights, man, where you couldn't miss. And everything I did with Ronnie worked. We had the perfect game plan for Bojado, just to keep pushing him, you know. And he dropped me with a good left hook. He was strong and fast, man. I'll tell you, this guy was incredible. He probably was one of the best technician. He did everything right. Probably the best boxer, one of the best boxers I ever fought. He had better technique than Costa, better technique than Arturo, better technique than Mickey, better than Camacho. There was something missing about him. There was something missing. That's why they were calling him the next De La Hoya. Remember, they were trying to, he was the next superstar, but maybe he didn't have the same drive and heart that these other guys had. But man, he could fight, though. Speed, power, everything. There was something missing in him. But I'm saying, he was one of the best fighters I ever fought.
It was really weird, though. Like I was surprised with him too. It's like I really expected him to be something serious, you know.
Yeah, at least, you know, they were saying he was going to be the next
Vargas, at least.
Vargas, but maybe a better fighter than Vargas, because better speed, better power, everything. He had everything left for him. And I think that night with me, I just pushed him to a point that he didn't want to be at. That was one of my best fights, especially towards the end of my career, the last 10 years of my career. One of my best fights as far as technique, everything, coming off the canvas and taking it to him and not giving up, and everything we did worked.
Yeah. Then you fought Gotti. How'd you get that fight? The human highlight reel. How'd that fight?
I think fighting that he fought when I fought Bojado, we were on the same card. He was the main event. That's when he fought that guy from who did he fight?
Romania or something.
Yeah, that guy.
I forgot his name too, man. It's there.
Yes, I can tell you what his name was right now. I'm on my computer now. Linda Doran.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's when I got that win, beating Bojado. I got to fight with Arturo. You know, and what was it, like 6 months later, something like that, 6 months later, and just a great fight. He was a great fighter. Just he fought a different fight than what we thought, completely different. We thought he was going to come after me and try to put pressure on me. All he did was outbox me, stay on the outside, use his jab really well. Surprised us with the boxing ability. We knew he had his power, but just the boxing ability that he had. In the fourth round, he had never hurt me to that point. He never had hurt me at all. In the fourth round, before the round finished, he caught me with the uppercut on my rib, the same rib that's been messed up. I walked back to my corner and I can't breathe because he just hit me in the rib, and I'm like trying to catch my breath. Ronnie still tells me I'm stopping the fight after this round, which the fifth coming up. He just go after him. So that's what I tried to do, go after him. He caught me, dropped me. I came back up, went after him again. If you see the fight, I go right after him because I knew the fight was going to stop. So I went after him and he caught me again and they stopped it.
So, rank the guys you fought. Who's the best you ever fought? De La Hoya?
De La Hoya's the best.
Yeah. And who's the last man you'd like to see standing in the opposite corner now?
I'm sorry?
Who's the last guy you'd ever want to fight again? You just don't want any part of it.
Well, the last guy I would never want to fight again? Probably after De La Hoya. Not just because he's an incredible fighter. I mean, I would take that chance again, of course, but he's probably the last guy I would want to fight again. Just, incredible technique, talent, speed, power, height, everything. Everything was against me. But I would still fight him again, but I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. If it wasn't for De La Hoya, who would be the best opponent you ever fought then?
Hard to say, man. I fought all these great guys.
It's tough.
Who would be the last guy we want to fight? Besides De La Hoya?
Who's the best? Who's the next best?
Probably Shane Mosley.
Yeah. And what's your life like now? You got what do you think? What do you think boxing did for you? Like, what did you get through boxing, and what did boxing teach you?
Man, I started fighting when I was 19. I didn't stop till I was 38, and I did it almost every day. I was training every day. I was doing something. I came from behind. I didn't have that much time. I gave everything to the sport that I could out of myself. But what the sport gave me was to learn to believe in yourself, to learn that you're only good at your last fight, and you're going to have people that love you 1 second when you're on top, and people leave you when you're not on top. I've learned that I have to choose my friends wisely, that know who is going to be the guys hanging around me just to hang around me because I'm a world champion, or who the people are going to be around me because they love me and they're my friends. And I also learned that boxing was just a small chapter in my life. Being a fighter was a small chapter in my life. That there were so many chapters to go through and live through and be part of. Boxing was part of my life. It's not all my life, even though I'm still, I own boxing, I own fitness gyms. I own two gyms here in San Antonio. I just started my first promotion company with a friend of mine. We just had our first fight last week. And the boxing has always been part of it, but it's not all of me. It's just a chapter in my life. It's a small part of me. I think what makes me is my family, my love for my kids and my wife, and my mom and dad, and my immediate family. That's what I'm about.
That's beautiful.
And the great friends that I have. I have so many. And I think that's something that boxing gave me. It gave me the opportunity to make so many wonderful friends that love me and I love them. I have so many great friends. Boxing gave me that, because without that, they wouldn't have come to me, or I wouldn't have been able to meet these people. And they gave me, they almost gave me a stage to show people what I'm about. And that's what it did for me. And not to brag or anything, but I don't know if you can look it up yourself, but I'm well respected in San Antonio. Well respected. I mean, by mayors and yeah. So I mean, boxing gave me the opportunity to show who I am. It was a stage for that, and that's why I love the sport. I'm never gonna, I'll never say anything bad about the sport. There's things that happen that are bad, that happen in the sport, but that's part of the sport. But it gave me so much, it gave me so much, and I hope I gave a little bit back to it.
You know you did.
But I mean, that's not for me to say. I just hope people say that, that at least I was a good guy and I didn't cheat anybody. I didn't try to manipulate anyone to do something that they didn't want to do, and that I gave all I could to the sport and did it in a respectful way.
You had so many fights that should have been on pay-per-view, and they were just on regular TV. I think you did this for it, and the people who love it.
I had 58 fights, I think. 58 fights. I think one was a no contest, right? So maybe 58 fights. I probably was on TV 44 of those fights.
Yeah,
ESPN, Fox, American Presents, NBC. I was on TV so much. HBO, Showtime, and I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the lucky ones. But at the same time, the harder I worked, the luckier I got.
Yeah, that's true. When you help yourself, you get even more blessed.
Yeah. I couldn't wait around for anyone. I had to do it myself,
Yeah. And how many kids do you have? You have 2 sons?
I have 2 boys. My oldest is James. He's 21, and my youngest is Dean. He's 16.
And what's the happiest, the proudest moment that you got throughout your whole boxing career, whether it's amateur or pro? What's the proudest moment?
I think probably coming home with my world title and letting my kids see the title.
And what they do?
They're kids. To them it's like, oh, it's cool, Dad. Let's go outside and run, whatever. But I think doing that is having, I guess maybe just having that title is working so hard for something, and saying that no matter how hard, if you work hard, good things happen. But you got to work hard. It's not going to come easy to you. And I think the lessons I'm able to teach my kids through boxing was, no one's going to give you anything. You got to go out there and earn it and work for it. Whether it's school, business, a marriage, you got to work at marriage. It's not going to come easy. You got to work at things, and you can't give up on certain things because it's not going your way. You got to keep fighting.
That's cool. That's all I got for you. I wanted to ask you about Kelly Pavlik. I saw him in your gym. What did you think of that? What did you think of him?
Well, that's the fight we promoted. And man, he looked great. Man, he looked really good. I mean, the guy he had in front of him wasn't the world beater, but just the technique and the punches he was throwing, man, you could hear those things, man. The guy, incredible fight.
Yeah, hope he stays clean,
Yeah, I hope he does too. And just how bad do you want it? If you could become a world champion and go through that type of stress, you should be able to beat anything else. But I don't have that. I've never had that, any addictions like that. And those things are tough, man. You got to take it one day at a time. But I think he has the makeup and he has the mental capability to beat anything.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for him, though.
Yeah, me too. I think everyone is, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate this, Jeff, rather than Jesse James.
No problem.
All right.
Hey, let me know when that story comes out, man. I'd like to get it.